Well, howdy y'all, I'm Cy Strikeling and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to cover a video from a YouTuber who goes by the name of MrElite. Now, MrElite is anything but elite. I'm not really sure that he understands the meaning of that word, to be honest. Now, MrElite made his presence known to me when he came into the live chat of a show I'm on Sundays. It's called The Uncalled For, over on the iNetwork YouTube channel. And on that show, we tend to talk about these incels, or involuntary celibates as they're called, and that all kind of goes hand in hand with the MGTOW movement. MrElite had to make some comments in the chat that were a little bit rude, and so I took a look at his channel, and this is what I found. MrElite is what's called MGTOW, which is an acronym for Men Going Their Own Way, and it's an anti-feminist, mostly online community that looks to eschew marriage and cohabitation and seek to remove themselves from a society which they feel is harmful to men. Not too long ago, I covered a video from another YouTuber who goes by the name of Validation Boy. Validation Boy is also what's called MGTOW, and there's a lot of similarities. You can also check out my video on Validation Boy. There'll be a link up above, just to kind of compare the two and see what kind of person or people we're dealing with. So let's start out and take a look at MrElite. And maybe let's see if Validation Boy has anything to add or to say to MrElite while we're at it.
Yo, it's MrElite.
Fuck that guy.
Well, thank you for that little bit of input there, Validation Boy. Yes, that is MrElite. Now, mind you, in typical Flurf style, which I have no idea if this guy thinks that the earth is flat or not, but he's recording in his car in portrait mode. It can't get any more Flurf than that. Or maybe it's just an idiot. Let's continue on and see what else MrElite has to say.
As you can see, the title of this video, that women absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, destroy everything that they touch, don't they, gentlemen? For some strange reason, it seems that, well, women just, whenever they put their fucking hands on, seems to get fucked up, right?
Well, that's quite a bold statement, MrElite. I'm sure you have to have some good reason for why that is. Please, go on and explain.
Weak fucking women, you know, that's all they ever do. They want to talk about being strong and independent all the goddamn time, gentlemen. All the time. I'm Miss Strong and Independent, until you find out how strong and independent your sorry ass really ain't. Then you become highly embarrassed and you lash out and you destroy everything you get your hands on.
Yes, MrElite, there are a lot of very strong, independent women out there. I'm still not really sure what your point is, though. Let's see if you can figure out how to explain it to us.
Let me explain to you why I'm going the way I'm going with this. It's because my son was is the primary on the house that they're renting. There are 3 girls and 1 dude in there, plus my son.
Well, MrElite, I'm not really sure where you went to school, but you said there's 3 girls and 1 dude in the house, plus your son. That would be 3 girls and 2 dudes, if I'm not mistaken, unless you're saying your son is not a dude. Yeah, looking to be more and more Flurf all the time, Mr.
Nice house, but they're young. You know, they're young and they all do their own little things. They all do their own little things, and all but one person had already given my son the money for them to pay their rent. You know, I got it here on a bank card, right? I got this bank card, and I mean, I don't spend it. It ain't mine. I got my own money, but they're freaking out because the rent is not paid yet.
Alright, we're going to stop it there for a second. So first of all, I want to point out that the video seems to jump around a little bit. That's because I cut out a lot of dead air that MrElite had in his video, where there's pauses and he just says so and and things like that. I had to do that a lot with Validation Boy's video as well. It seems like they can't put thoughts together without having these long drawn out pauses. And when you take out all the pauses and ums and ands, it really cuts their video down to about a quarter of what the actual length is. I do want to also point out that earlier in the video, I cut out a small part where Mr. Elite says that he has to go to his son's arraignment today to see if he can bail him out. Now, he doesn't mention what the arraignment is for. We're not going to assume anything, and we're not going to make any judgments, because everybody is innocent until proven guilty. However, he did mention that he did have his son's arraignment today, or the day that he recorded this video, so it's safe to assume that his son is incarcerated at the moment that this video was recorded. So, Mr. Elite says that all of the roommates, or at least most of them at this point, had given his son the rent money. Sounds reasonable. Sounds like the logical thing to do. But then he finds out that the roommates are freaking out because the rent hasn't been paid. Also understandable. I mean, if you've given your roommate the money for rent and they don't pay the rent with that money, it's a good bet you're going to freak out about that. Let's see what his excuse is.
Okay, so wait a minute. So I get the call yesterday. From my son's friend, the Air Force guy. You know, I'm not gonna say his name, but you know, he's like, "Hey man, what are we gonna do about this rent? We had already gave Trey this money," and I was like, "What the fuck do you expect me to do?"
Okay, so one of your son's friends calls you and wants to know from you what's going to happen with the rent money. Now, it seems that your son gave you his debit card, or you have access to your son's debit card, because for whatever reason, your son is unable to pay the rent. So, I don't see why it's so far-fetched that his friends would call you, who has access to the debit card with the rent money, to ask what's going on with the rent. I'm also still not really sure what this has to do with women destroying everything they touch. You really haven't gotten to a point yet. I'm not really surprised, but let's see if we can get there, Mr. Elite.
Oh, you mean all those bitches that made a statement are now worried about where they're gonna live now? Holy shit. You know, fucking right, dude.
So this is the first time he brings up these bitches that made a statement. He hasn't mentioned this before, or any kind of statement they've made. Just out of the blue, all of a sudden these bitches, and I'm assuming he means the 3 girls that are roommates with the 2 guys, have made some kind of statement, and that's their problem, and now they're worried about where they're going to live. Well, yeah, I mean, if I had paid rent to one of my roommates and they didn't pay the rent with it, I'd be worried about where I was going to live too.
So, you know, my son calls me last night and I'm like, "Hey, you know, they're barking about this rent money. What you want me to do? You want me to give them their rent money back, or do you want me to bond you out? What do you need me to do, son?"
Okay, let me get this straight. So your son called you, and you tell him that they're nagging you about the rent money. And you ask your son what he wants you to do, either return their rent money or bail him out. I mean, that's not what the rent money is for. They didn't pay your son rent money to bail him out of jail. So there really is only one logical option: return the rent money or pay the rent. I mean, this isn't difficult.
And what I'm sure you guys already know what the fuck he said. Shitting me. That's right. That's fucking right. I was like, "Trey, you need to remember, I don't know exactly what these hoes said to the popos, right? I don't know what they said because I wasn't in the house. But if they hit them with the, I don't know, I was in my room bullshit, bitch, y'all heard everything. I can hear that bitch screaming outside my truck. When I put my cell phone down on my console, I can hear her screaming. So, no, y'all know some shit, and all y'all teamed up because y'all all friends, right? You see what I'm saying? They all friends and shit."
Okay, so again, Mr. Elite doesn't go into the reasons behind his son's incarceration. He doesn't explain what happened or who was involved, but by the sounds of it, something happened and his girl roommates either did or didn't say something to the cops, and because of that, he feels that it's their fault, I'm assuming, for his son being incarcerated. But either way, that doesn't make any difference when it comes to the rent. If they paid him rent money, that rent money is supposed to go to rent, not for anything else. So whether or not he thinks it's their fault or anything like that, there's no reason for him to use that rent money for bail for his son instead of paying the rent. Case closed. He also mentions that they're all friends and that they're ganging up on his son, or they all conspired against his son. But his son has to be friendly with them in order to have rented a house with these 4 other people. I can't imagine not being at least friendly towards 4 other people that you're renting a house with. We're gonna continue to watch. I mean, there's really not that much left. I did cut out another portion of his video where he talks about how he's turning down the heat in his car and it's getting to be spring and he saw some ducks mating by the pond, and he's excited for spring to come. I didn't think that was pertinent at all. It had nothing to do with this video, so I did cut that part out. But let's continue on and see what else he has to say.
I want to thank them. I want to thank you brothers for understanding, how important this shit really is, man. It's really fucking important to understand how women can, it can destroy every goddamn thing. Now, one woman, one girl has disrupted the lives of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other people.
Okay, so again, he doesn't go into too much detail, but he's saying that one woman can destroy the lives of many people. I don't know what happened. I don't know the circumstances behind his son's incarceration, but it sounds like there was an issue between one girl that lived in the house and his son. He also can't count, because originally he said there were 3 girls and 1 dude and his son. That's 5 people. Now all of a sudden it's 1 girl can affect 5 other people. So that would be 6 people. I'm pretty sure he just can't count, and that he's just a fucking idiot.
Now this girl's got to move back home with her parents and shit because she can't function as a 21-year-old by herself. You can't make this shit up, man. You can't make this shit up. But they're strong and independent, aren't they, guys? Yeah.
Okay, so at the age of 21, there's a lot of people, women and men, who are strong and independent, and they live on their own, and they're able to do their own thing, they're making a living, and they're doing well for themselves. But as he said earlier in the video, 21 is still young. There's a lot of people that try to make it out on their own by that age, and for some reason or another, they aren't able to. They think they're ready, maybe they're not. Or they just fall on hard times, or have some kind of situation that happens that renders them unable to currently live on their own. It doesn't make them a bad person, and it doesn't make women destroy everything they touch because they're young.
Oh. Yep. These millennials, man. It's the fucking millennials. That's what it is, gentlemen. It's the goddamn millennials. I hate to put it on one specific age bracket like that. That's not my intention here. But what I've been noticing, what I notice, especially doing that little part-time bartender gig on the weekends, what I've noticed is that the girls, they'll come in their packs. They'll come in packs, and hang with each other, and the guys will come in packs and hang with each other, and everybody's on their fucking cell phone, separated. They're not interacting. Okay, so you're just gonna go to the bar, dance with your girlfriends, not even be really dancing. The only ones that are out there actually functioning with each other and dancing with each other and having, intellectual drunk conversations with each other are the fucking old people. It's a fact, man. The old people are the ones having, and they're the ones leaving at night, at the end of the night, they're the ones leaving and going home with each other, and or maybe meeting somebody new and going home with somebody new, bumping uglies, whatever they're gonna do, make a new relationship and shit. But these younger ones, they won't even talk to each other, man.
Okay, so here he talks about millennials and how women show up in packs, but then he goes on to talk about how men show up in packs as well, so I'm not really sure how that fits into his narrative. And he goes on to say about young people not interacting with each other and being on their phones too much. It's only the older people. But again, he doesn't really say anything about women specifically. Everything he's said so far is about women and men. So again, I'm not really sure how this all fits into women destroy everything they touch. I guess let's continue on. I see what he says.
So now you put him in a situation where all of a sudden this girl's like, oh, I'm getting older. I think I need to have a baby. Let's move in together. Let's move in together. I think that's a great idea. And while we're at it, so we can save money, let's have a bunch of fucking roommates and then we'll get pregnant. I'm not saying she's pregnant because she's not, thank God.
So wait, because a girl wanted to move in with your son, it automatically means that she wants a baby with him? I mean, I'm not sure that at 21, that's the first thing on any woman's mind. Again, that's not every woman. Some women are ready to have a baby at 21, and that is their intention. But that's a really big assumption from you, Mr. Elite.
She was smart enough to not get that done. Even though they played a joke on me one time telling me that they were. I'm thinking that they was trying to test the waters to see how I would react to that whole shit, you know? They was trying to test the waters to see how I would react.
Again, you mentioned that they played a trick on you once and tried to see your reaction if they told you that they were pregnant. You keep mentioning, Mr. Elite, they. That implies that your son was involved in this trick they tried to play on you. So, again, you're saying it's women destroy everything they touch, yet your son sounds pretty heavily involved.
Anyway, women destroy everything they get their fucking hands on. Now, all these people's lives are completely fucked up. The rent's not gonna get paid. I don't give a fuck, because I'm going over there today and pick up his shit if I can't get him out of fucking jail.
And yet again, he goes on to say, women destroy everything they get their hands on. Yet, it's not just women that live with his son. There's another man that lives with his son. And now he's saying that the rent isn't going to get paid. So now he's affecting 4 other people's lives. So how is this women destroy everything they get their hands on? Because I don't see it. All I see is him being super irresponsible for his son.
I think this whole situation could have been easily rectified if those women that were sitting in that house, knowing that my son did not do anything like that, would have gotten involved and started thinking ahead of time, like, this motherfucker got our rent money. We better make sure he don't go to motherfucking jail. Dumb, 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 and dumb. Dumb, 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 dumb women. Dumb women. Stupid.
So let me get this straight now. The other women, because they didn't say anything to get your son out of whatever troubles he's in, it's their fault, and they should have done more to get your son out of trouble because they already paid him rent and they want the rent to be paid. I don't see how that makes any sense. They paid your son rent. That money that he has for rent needs to go to rent, whether or not he got incarcerated or not. That's not how this works, Mr. Elite. You're just a fucking idiot.
So there it is, gentlemen. So let's get ready to rumble. Let's see if we can get this young man out of here and on back with his life and move forward. That's what we're going to try to do today. Okay? Okay. It's just another stepping stone for men to stay away from these women. I'm going to take you through a step-by-step process of what will happen when you involve yourself with a bitch, and then that bitch and you can't get along anymore, and then all of a sudden you got to go to jail on some false allegations. I'm going to take you through the step-by-step play of this action. This is Mr. Elite, and I am out of here. Peace.
Okay, so that's the end of his video. He talks a little bit about how his son got involved with a bitch and how they can't get along anymore, and now he's locked up on some false allegations. Again, I'm not going to make any assumptions or judgments about his son or his son's girlfriend. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty. He did make another video after this one, after the arraignment, and in it he talks about how he wasn't able to bail his son out of jail, but how he's still not paying rent. Apparently the bail was $125,000, and 10% of that he kept saying was $10,000, which it's not. It's about $12,500 actually. Again, he can't math. And how his son only has $1,500. Well, no, his son doesn't have $1,500. That $1,500 was supposed to go to rent. In that video, he talks about how he's not going to pay the rent, and now everybody's lives are affected. In that next video, he also goes on to say what the allegations were against his son. Attempted strangulation were the charges he was actually charged with. Again, after this video, he doesn't go into any more detail about the case. He doesn't say what happens to his son. So I don't know what the outcome was. I don't know if his son was guilty or innocent, but we're just going to assume for now, because we don't know any different, that his son is innocent. However, that doesn't mean that the allegations are false. With that being said, it seems like there were problems with his son and his son's girlfriend. I don't really understand how this leads to women destroying everything they touch. In the second video that he posted that same day, he talks about how this is why you shouldn't get involved with women, and women are nothing but trouble. And he just goes on and on to degrade women and why you shouldn't be involved with women. This seems to be the general mentality of all men who go by the definition of MGTOW. Everything is a woman's fault. Men are never at fault. Women destroy everything they touch. Women are the root of all evil. And I think that he seriously needs some help, him and his son. At the end of the day, MGTOW is dangerous. There's different levels of MGTOW, and there's red pill and blue pill and black pill and all these different subcategories. But at the end of the day, MGTOW is dangerous. These men are heavily anti-feminist, and they put out these ideas to other people that all women are bad. This can lead to violence against women just because they're women. I think everybody that identifies as MGTOW really needs to do some deep self-reflection and figure out why they're having these problems with women. Because at the end of the day, women aren't the root of all evil. Men and women can equally be just as bad. So that's about all I have from MrElite. And he has a ton of more videos on his channel, and I'm going to link in the description a link to the second video that he made that day, so everybody can see it, see that I didn't take things out of context or misrepresent what he said. Again, there's really only one phrase that describes how I feel about MrElite, and that is,
Fuck that guy.
Thanks for coming, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it sheds some light on another person in the MGTOW community. If you like this video, please hit the like button down below. Also subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications about when I upload or go live. If you want to help support the channel financially, it's definitely not necessary, but I would appreciate it. I have a Patreon account where you can become a monthly member to get bonuses and exclusives just for being a member. In the description below is a link to my website where you can actually make a one-time donation if you'd rather do that instead. But really, the best support from any of you is to just share this link, get my videos out there, and help me get my subscriber base up. Thanks everybody for coming. I hope y'all have a great day. I'm Cy Strikeling, and I'll see y'all later.